Hi there, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 1 of Beach Life with Bob Pancakes. We are starting out today in the Pancakes household, and Bob's life is about to undergo a couple of little changes that are going to lead to him making a change of destination and looking to live out that beach life aspiration. At the start of our story here, Bob is employed at level 3 of the culinary career as a caterer. So as you can see, he has some, albeit limited, cooking skill. But he does enjoy cooking, even if he's not always very good at it. Bob and Eliza are, of course, a married couple, and at the moment they have a reasonably good romantic relationship and a decent friendship. The Pancakes could be described as something of an unusual couple. They don't necessarily have a lot in common. Eliza doesn't always appreciate Bob's jokes. She doesn't always get his sense of humour. She is, of course, a neat sim, and Bob is a slob. But they're trying their best with what they have. As well as being a slob, Bob is also a gloomy sim, which sometimes means he's prone to bouts of sadness. In the Pancakes household, there is what seems to be the start of a nursery. There's a bookcase, there's a toy box, there's a cot, and some unpacked boxes. It's like the Pancakes have decided that they want to start a family, but they just haven't quite got round to it yet. Could this be symbolic for the status of their relationship as a whole? Another interesting aspect of the Pancakes household is that Bob has his own bedroom and Eliza has hers, both with separate double beds, but they do not sleep together. Bob tries with Eliza. He tries to keep her interested with his stories about cowplants, but unfortunately Eliza is just a little bored by Bob and maybe is looking for something a little bit more exciting in her life.
DeRoy Oblish.
Although the basement of the Pancakes household is something of a man cave for Bob, Eliza sometimes sneaks down there in a spare moment when Bob's out at work and likes to watch herself some romantic drama or a reality dating television show. Because the truth of the matter is, Eliza is quite a romantic soul underneath it all, and so, when she receives a call from a secret admirer, what else should she do other than be flattered and quite intrigued? Surely there would be no harm in Eliza meeting this person who went to all that effort to call her and say such sweet things about her. She should at least hear what they have to say, right? Eliza enjoyed finally being able to express her more romantic side and being able to talk about some of the things that interested her to Jay. Jay was young and enthusiastic and listened to her more attentively than she felt Bob did. And so when Jay asked Eliza on a date, what else could she say but yes? Jay surprised Eliza with a rose on their date. Jay was so sweet and fun and exciting, and Eliza found herself feeling ways she hadn't felt for a very long time. And before she knew it, things got a little steamy between her and Jay. Eliza found herself enjoying the date so much that time got away from her, and before she knew where she was, Bob had finished his shift and it was time for her to get home before he suspected anything was afoot. When Eliza got home, she quickly went straight to bed. Bob, blissfully unaware, was enjoying grilling out on his barbecue in the back garden, enjoying the solitude, his nice home, and grilling some baked potatoes. The next day, Bob continued about his day, unaware, and Eliza believed that everything was going along just fine. On his day off from work, Bob noticed that someone seemed to be moving about in his house. Apparently, he had a surprise guest, a stayover guest that Eliza hadn't told him about. He wondered who this young person was. When Bob went to ask Eliza who this person was, the conversation didn't go so well. There was a suitcase in the hallway. Was this the suitcase belonging to their stayover guest? Or was this a case that Eliza had packed for Bob? Things weren't looking good in the Pancake household. Eliza told Bob that he just wasn't any fun anymore. Bob told Eliza he was growing tired of her neat, fastidious ways around the house.
Sorbo!
Oh, piff, piff, piff.
It seemed like Bob and Eliza no longer saw eye to eye on anything. Yes, Eliza admitted she had had an affair behind Bob's back. But, she argued, Bob drove her to it. Bob tried to explain to Eliza that he had always tried to do the best by her, tried to tell her that he had always wanted to have a happy life with her, but Eliza wasn't listening.
Yelk. Nabahui.
It was hard for Bob to be mad at Jay. After all, it wasn't Jay's fault that Eliza had chosen to do what she had to hurt Bob the way that she had. When the three of them sat down to discuss the matter, Eliza told Bob she was tired of the way he was treating her, and Bob felt there was no other way forward. His relationship with Eliza was over, and the only choice he had was to divorce her.
Bibawoo.
Garsha? Fernarb.
With so much bitterness and resentment, and the unfinished nursery taunting them in the house, Bob felt his only option was to leave. He decided to let Eliza have the house, and he would take their savings and start a new life of his own. But where would he go? The gorgeous Sulani island chain welcomes all to a life of blue oceans and friendly neighbours. All around is the beauty of nature, no matter where you look. Bob had always wondered what it would be like to live in Sulani, to live on the coast, to live the beach life. Eating his first meal alone in his new home, Bob couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed by all the changes, a little saddened by them, but he hoped that with time he would find his way in his new life.
Grimmix. Grimmix.
After all, it was hard to stay sad for long when one literally had the most beautiful swimming pool on one's own doorstep, clear ocean water, and beautiful scenery. The next day, the first thing Bob decided to do as a part of his new beach life was to get a suntan. Invigorated by his breakfast of freshly caught Sulani fish, Bob set out to achieve the first step of his new life. And where better to get a suntan than on one of the beautiful beachfronts of Sulani? After applying a little sunscreen, of course. Bob was starting to really enjoy swimming in the ocean. He decided he might give some other local activities a try, but when faced with them, he realised that some local activities were maybe a little too adventurous for him at this point. Speeding through the water in an aquazip was something Bob decided he would maybe try another day. Going on little treasure hunts through the beautiful sands of Sulani felt more like something that Bob could handle. He began searching through the sand to see what he could find.
Oh!
And, much to Bob's delight, he made an incredible find on his first attempt. Bob found a cute baby turtle. This encounter with this tiny terrapin truly will live in Bob's heart forever. After making a few small changes to his new home to make it feel more like a home, Bob settled down for some well-deserved sleep. Unfortunately, it was not a restful sleep, as Bob received a text message from an unexpected person. An acquaintance was telling me how much they dislike you. An acquaintance was telling me how much they dislike you? Which acquaintance would that be, Jay? Would it be my wife?
Schwaby.
When he woke up the next morning, Bob decided to take his mind off of things by building a sand sculpture. creating some art out of the beautiful sands of his new home. After some time and hard work, Bob created something that was a little odd. Bob needed something else to take his mind off of matters, because as he stood on the beach eating his breakfast, he found himself thinking about Jim Pickens? Could Jim Pickens have followed him all the way out to Sulani? Surely not, Bob told himself. Surely Jim Pickens wouldn't be in Sulani. Bob decided it was probably a good time to go somewhere where there were plenty of other witnesses. Bob decided it was probably a good time to go somewhere where there were plenty of other Sims. After all, part of Bob's beach life aspiration would involve hosting a kava party, so he was going to need to get to know some of the locals a little better. And, whilst he was on this very public beach area, it was a good time for him to grab himself a coconut, which was another part of his beach life aspiration, to enjoy a fresh Sulani coconut. Bob began socialising with some of the locals, but being the loner that he was, he started to find it a little stressful. Also, despite his upbeat mood, it seemed like some of the other Sims weren't quite so receptive to him as he had hoped they might be. However, after a little more time and effort, Bob soon found the locals coming around and soon found himself making some new friends and some new potential guests for his upcoming kava party. The first two parts of this stage of his aspiration met. All that was left was for Bob to earn gold at a kava party. He knew this wouldn't be a straightforward task, but he felt it was something he was ready for. After all, as a professional chef, surely cooking up some food for some friends and making up some kava for everyone to drink and enjoy, it was just a case of brewing a simple punch from a local fruit and sharing it with friends. What could possibly go wrong? Bob found himself, okay. That's it for part 1 of Beach Life with Bob Pancakes. Thanks again everyone for watching, and tune in next time to see part 2.